Hello everyone, this is Terrence of the TSKGGV.com, and in this episode, I'm gonna talk about my review, my overall thoughts, and my opinions on Star Wars. And so, I know this is gonna be on the phone just because I realized that my batteries for my actual camera, my photography camera, was going out at the 7 to 8 minute mark or whatever. So I have plenty of juice on my thing, and it doesn't really suck that much battery when I'm doing a 10 to 15 minute video. But anyways, that's why I can't wait until I get the Pixel 3 in about 6 to 8 months from now. But I'm skipping versions. Anyways, in Star Wars Episode 1 through 6, I watched Star Wars Episode 1 through 6 in terms, like on Friday night through Saturday night, I basically watched Episode 1 through 6, which is why I didn't make any videos yesterday on Saturday. So I was just busy watching, and I had a guest overnight. I had an overnight guest at my apartment just to basically watch movies, and instead of having him or him going back and forth, he just stayed overnight. And anyways, yeah, that was a fun fun past 2 days. So yes, it's just water. This time it's just water instead of coffee. I know the last video was coffee, but that was like a third cup of coffee or whatever. I had 3 cups total. Anyways, I think I had 3 cups. That was my second cup when I recorded the video. But anyways, so Star Wars Episode 1 through 6. So I'm going to break it down into 2 sections. So Episode 1 through 3 and then 4 through 6. And so my favorite of the first 3, when I say the first 3, I mean like Episode 1, 2, and 3, is actually 2. Because there was some kind of like, so episode out of the 3, I like 2 the best. But I knew, so like at the end of episode 2, I knew I was not gonna like episode 3 just because there's stuff that needed to happen that basically needed to happen. And so so how it should have ended was basically kind of like my thoughts on episode 3, primarily when episode 3, when the Jedi Masters was trying to take out Emperor Palpatine at that point, or Sidious, or Emperor Palpatine, Sidious, whatever. So that scene right there was one of the gripes I had. They could have, or should have expanded that scene a little bit more, and then like redo some of the other scenes in episode 3, or like they expanded that scene where he took on like 4 or 5, I don't know, I think it was 4 total, Mace Windu and then 3 others. And so obviously the how it should have ended clearly pointed out one of the major flaws in that movie is that Emperor Palpatine just basically stabbed everyone except for Mace Windu, basically. And so that was kind of my gripes with Star Wars Episode 3. And one of my other gripes with Star Wars Episode 3 was the fact that I didn't want to face reality of it. And so Star Wars Episode 2 was probably like the peak of between the 3 movies. So I still like Episode 1 and 3, but out of the first 3 in chronological order, 2 was my favorite. Okay. And then, like, of course, I did really like the pod racing, and every time I watch Star Wars Episode 1, I'm like, how much is the game on Good Old Games thing? Because Good Old Games remakes a lot of old games, and so Good Old Games does have the pod racing, and I'll eventually get it. I might get it on the 15th or whatever, or 16th, 17th or whatever. But yeah. So that was my kind of thoughts on episode 1 through 3. Okay, so 4 through 6. Sixth one is my favorite one, for obvious reasons, because it was that climactic ending of like the rebels ended up winning and all that stuff, and so, and at that point in my life, when I first watched, when I grew up with Star Wars Episode 1 through, I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, so I grew up with the prequels, and I always enjoyed the prequels, and I still enjoy the prequels, and so, I liked Episode 8. Wait, no. Episode 7. I liked Episode 7. I didn't really like Episode 8. So, anyways, but that's kind of different. That's like a whole different topic right there. But, out of the two newer, the two post-trilogy set, they're like I'm gonna call it the pre-trilogy and the trilogy and the post-trilogy. And so, yeah, out of the two that came out, episode 7 and 8, 7 I like better. So, but in this one, I'm just reviewing episode 1 through 6. Now, the thing that I don't like about episode 6 was that when they changed it to, they didn't change the plot or anything, but I don't like that. I like the original, the actual original, it's more authentic to me if they didn't change it. So some of the things that did change in episode 6 was that I put, what's his name? The actor who played Anakin in episode 2 and 3. I'm gonna look it up. Star Wars episode 2 cast. I want to say Christopher. No, actually. Okay, so I got the Christ. It's Hayden Christensen. Yeah. So, yeah. And then of course, I didn't like the fact that Mace Windu. Okay, and then like they changed that aspect. I was gonna go to a different topic within the, but in Star Wars Episode 6, yeah, Star Wars Episode 6, they changed it. They changed Anakin to Hayden Christensen, and then they also changed some of the scenes of some of the planets from the celebration planets. So like they're all celebrating the fact that the rebels won against the Empire, and so they showed some of the planets that were in episode 1 through 3, but not the original ones that were in there. So that's kind of why I didn't really like. Those are the two parts that I didn't really like about the Star Wars Episode 6. But overall, I thoroughly enjoy Episode 1 through 6. I do like to, on a yearly basis, watch all 6 of them all at once. That's kind of been a tradition for a long time. So I've been doing that for like years, or it's either been like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. So I'm watching episode 1 through 6 is like a lot. Because it's like over 12 hours, but Lord of the Rings is, without the extended edition, it's about 9-10 hours. But in terms of it's either been Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. And so once I watch Lord of the Rings, I'll be doing a vlog review or whatever about that. But I don't think I have the I'm borrowing the first two. I don't know if I have the third one, but Anyways, that's kind of what my thoughts process on that, and I might actually just leave it on my phone in terms of video, because I got all the needed information here with the instead of having to look at the time, I can just look at my screen and be like, okay, and that's how much time I'm doing. So I might be, for here on out, I have to go back to back to my cell phone camera for an extended amount of time, until I get the Pixel, not the Pixel, oh my goodness, until I get the whatchamacallit, the Key 3, whenever that's coming out. So that's my thoughts on Star Wars Episode 1 through 6. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.